analysis from S&P Global Ratings says the shutdown already has cost the economy almost $4 billion. This is something Kevin Hassett, chairman of the White House Council of Economic Advisors, warned would happen.
Our estimate is that GDP in the first quarter could go down by about 1/10. I would guess it's going to be something like a rule of thumb would be every 2 weeks is 1/10, something like that. But again, I think that it's kind of an accounting thing because that's true for real GDP, but nominal GDP is unaffected as long as people ultimately get paid.
All right, let's bring in Romina Boccia of the Heritage Foundation to kind of unpack everything. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Lauren.
We spoke in the intro about the S&P Global Rating saying that if the cost of the shutdown, consider this, if the shutdown continues for another 2 weeks, and it very well might, the economic cost will be basically the same as the cost of the border wall. That's ironic, isn't it?
It is somewhat ironic, but I think one of the reasons this is such a prolonged government shutdown and neither Democrats nor the president seem to want to end it anytime soon is because it has such a small impact on the economy. While the impact on an individual furloughed employee can be very large, who's missing his or her paycheck, if you look at the broader economic impact, it really is just a blip. It has no implication for long-run growth. So overall, this is very small. It affects about 7% of federal government spending, whereas the 2013 shutdown affected about 1/4. So this is a really small, limited impact on the economy.
On the economy, okay, but let's go back to those workers. We always talk about the 800,000 workers who are either furloughed or hoping to receive back pay, but what about all the contractors and the small businesses that will never get paid because of the shutdown?
That's where we see some of the more severe individual impacts on those contractors. It is not clear that they will get paid, and small businesses doing business with the federal government, they do price in these kind of anomalies that can occur, and this is becoming more important as we're seeing a more partisan Congress. But this is also a good time to look at some of the federal government functions that are affected by this government shutdown and ask, can we privatize some of those functions so that shutdowns won't have an impact? Like TSA, for example. Canada and Europe, they have privatized airport security. Some U.S. airports are taking advantage of a program that allows them to do that as well. TSA should simply be privatized, and we don't have to worry about shutdowns having an impact on airport security.
So you're arguing that the shutdown is revealing how much the government does that we don't necessarily need or even want it to do.
Absolutely. So many of the functions that are currently slowed down or partially shut down are functions the federal government shouldn't be in the business of to begin with. Many of those functions the president has singled out in his budget for elimination, like the National Endowment of the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities. So this is a really telling sign for what functions the economy can do without the federal government.
And real quickly, what about other things like food safety?
I think our foods is going to be safe. I'm not worried about it. The market regulates these items on its own. If a vendor sells you a faulty product, you're not going to buy their product anymore. So it's in the interest of those food producers to make sure the food that we eat is in fact safe.
All right. Romina Boccia, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Because nobody wants another bout of E. coli to